he goes upstairs, combs his own hair, pours his own milk, he writes, he types in school. No big deal for a 12-year-old boy, right? What if we told you he's doing it all without any arms or any legs?
Just minutes ago, a man born with no arms or legs showed the world that there are no limits. Gabe Adams crushes every doubt, walking, dressing, and climbing stairs on his own. He's not just getting by, he's excelling, taking notes in school, and graduating with flying colors. Every step he takes rewrites the rules of what's possible. How can someone turn such impossible odds into extraordinary triumphs? Let's dive deep into Gabe's incredible ability to live beyond limits. The resilient spirit of Gabe Adams. Gabe Adams often thinks about living without limbs, but he sees a bigger reason behind his condition. This purpose pushes him to live life to the fullest, even when it's tough. He's worked hard on staying mentally strong to achieve everything he has today, despite people doubting what he's capable of. As Gabe stood at the edge of the cliff, the wind whipping around him, he whispered to himself, "They think my journey ends here, but it's just beginning." One of his biggest goals is to be as independent as possible. Some of his proudest moments include learning to walk, dress himself, go up and down stairs, and use his wheelchair like a pro. He also managed to take his own notes in school and eventually graduated. Gabe was born with Hanhart syndrome, a very rare condition in the United States. This condition can cause different physical problems, like a small jaw, missing fingers, or in more serious cases like Gabe's, no limbs at all. It can sometimes affect memory and hearing as well. From a young age, Gabe was determined to be as independent as he could. He set big goals for himself and worked hard to overcome anything that got in his way. He grew up in a big family with 13 siblings. But Gabe stands out not just because of his physical challenges, but also because he's the only adopted child in the family. People often comment on his unique journey, but he stays focused on his determination to succeed. As a child, Gabe Adams often felt overwhelmed by the expectations of independence his family set for him. Born without arms and legs, the simplest of tasks presented significant challenges, and he sometimes wished his family would just take over. However, his family was steadfast in their belief that self-reliance was crucial for his growth. They were not deterred by his physical limitations and constantly encouraged him to find his own way of doing things. His father, Ron Adams, particularly understood the magnitude of the challenges that lay ahead. He dedicated himself to teaching Gabe how to navigate a world not built for him, fostering a spirit of perseverance and self-dependence in his son. Ron's approach was guided by a deep conviction that facing and overcoming these obstacles would forge Gabe's resilience and independence, qualities he knew would serve him well throughout life. Gabe's journey was not just about managing physical hurdles. It was equally about conquering the emotional and social barriers that came with them. With each small victory, he grew more confident in his abilities, buoyed by the unwavering support of his family. They never solved problems for him, but rather supported him in solving them himself, a method that proved to be both challenging and empowering. As Gabe reflected on his path to independence, he felt a profound sense of gratitude towards his family, whose belief in his capabilities pushed him to prove that he could indeed handle anything that came his way. This journey wasn't easy. There were many tough moments filled with tears, both from Gabe and his parents. Over time, Gabe's frustration with his parents' tough love turned into deep gratitude. He now understands that their constant encouragement helped him become the strong, capable person they knew he could be. But that wasn't the hardest part. Today, Gabe still deals with how people see him. Every day, people stare or make rude comments, a reminder that bullying is still very real. However, Gabe chooses how he reacts, often deciding to ignore the hurtful words. Landon Adams, Gabe's brother, talks about how the bullying affects him. Gabe comes home feeling sad from the cruel teasing, but he doesn't often talk about it. Even though he's strong, he carries these experiences quietly, showing incredible strength. Gabe Adams spent much of his childhood shedding tears. Growing up, he found it hard to figure out who was really his friend. Was someone befriending him because they genuinely liked him, or were they doing it because they felt sorry for him? This question was something he often wrestled with, and it weighed heavily on him. He didn't always know what other people's true intentions were, and this uncertainty followed him through his early years. As he moved from elementary to middle school, these thoughts didn't go away. Instead, they became more persistent. Gabe didn't just want friends. He wanted friends who liked him for who he really was, not just because of his differences. Gabe's early years were tough, setting him up for the bigger challenges in high school. Gabe's path beyond physical limits. By the time Gabe got to high school, things started to change. He discovered that some people looked past his physical differences, his lack of arms and legs, and saw him for the person he truly was inside. These were his true friends. They didn't care about his disability. They appreciated him for his personality, his sense of humor, and his kind heart. These friends saw him as more than just his physical appearance. They recognized his talents, his strengths, and his passions. And for Gabe, that made all the difference. But this wasn't the worst part. The real challenge for Gabe wasn't just figuring out who his friends were, it was learning to believe in himself. High school can be tough for anyone, but for Gabe, it came with added layers of difficulty. Yet with the support of his real friends and family, he slowly started to build confidence in himself, realizing that he was much more than what met the eye. Gabe's journey into dancing, a passion that would eventually change his life, began in the 7th grade. At first, he kept his desire to dance a secret. He had his sights set on the school talent show, but he didn't tell anyone, not even his family, because he wanted it to be a surprise. Deep down, he knew that people might be shocked or confused by his decision to dance. After all, dancing is an art form that usually involves the use of one's limbs. But Gabe didn't see his lack of arms and legs as a limitation. He saw it as an opportunity to show people what he was capable of. When the day of the talent show audition came, Gabe performed with all his heart. He put everything into his routine, and his effort paid off. He was selected to perform in the talent show. When he shared the news with his family, they were initially surprised by his choice to dance. They knew he had always been a determined and passionate person, but dancing was something they hadn't expected. However, they supported him completely, knowing that whatever Gabe put his mind to, he would excel. The day of the talent show was unforgettable. As Gabe took the stage, there was a buzz of curiosity and excitement in the audience. But the moment he started dancing, the room fell silent, mesmerized by what they were witnessing. When he finished his performance, the entire auditorium, filled with students, teachers, and parents, stood up and gave him a standing ovation. The cheers and applause were deafening, and in that moment, Gabe knew he had found something special. He had not only proved something to himself, but to everyone around him. His talent for dancing was undeniable, and this moment marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life. But this wasn't the only moment that changed Gabe's life. That performance opened up a world of possibilities. Dancing became more than just a hobby for Gabe. It became a way for him to express himself and to connect with others on a deeper level. He began performing at benefit concerts to help raise money for people battling serious illnesses. These performances allowed Gabe to use his talent to make a difference in the lives of others, something that has always been important to him. Over time, Gabe's love for dancing grew, and so did his desire to inspire others. In the past 4 years, Gabe has also stepped into the world of motivational speaking. He has traveled across the country, sharing his story with countless people. Gabe speaks about his life, his struggles, and how he's overcome challenges that many people can't even imagine. He meets all kinds of people on his journeys, each with their own stories of hardship and triumph. And their stories inspire him just as much as his story inspires them. Through his speeches, Gabe has found a way to connect with people on a personal level, offering them hope, encouragement, and motivation to face their own challenges head-on. After his big performance, Gabe starts to inspire others and explore new possibilities, embracing life beyond limits. But Gabe's journey is not without its own struggles. People often ask him if he finds life difficult without limbs, and Gabe always gives the same thoughtful answer. Life's difficulty isn't defined by your circumstances, but by how you choose to respond to them. Gabe firmly believes that the challenges he faces are ones he chooses to overcome. He doesn't see his lack of arms and legs as something that holds him back. Instead, he sees it as a unique part of who he is, a part that has shaped his resilience, strength, and perspective on life. Yet life isn't always easy for Gabe. even though he handles it with such grace and determination. He admits that there are moments when he feels like giving up, moments where the weight of his struggles feels too heavy. But even during these times, Gabe makes the choice to keep going. He fights back against the negative thoughts that tell him to quit. He knows that giving up isn't an option if he wants to live a full and meaningful life. But this wasn't the last hurdle. Every day, Gabe faces new challenges. Some are physical, some are emotional, and some are mental. He admits that there are days when it would be easier to throw in the towel, to let the difficulties of life win, but he chooses not to. Gabe has learned that true strength comes from continuing to push forward, even when things seem impossible. He reminds himself that everyone faces tough times, and his challenges, though different, are no greater than anyone else's. From the moment the child entered the world, life was marked by a significant challenge. Born without legs, the child was abandoned by the side of a road at the age of just 3 months. Wrapped in a blanket, the baby was left exposed to the harshness of the elements, waiting to be discovered. It was there, in a quiet spot behind a small sign along the roadside in Thailand, where the child's journey truly began. The discovery came when locals heard the faint cries, and following the sound, found the baby covered in insect bites and suffering from exposure. Help was called, and the child was rushed to a nearby hospital. In the hospital, the baby received immediate medical care, but there was more than just physical healing that took place. A kind and caring nurse, Mei Chan, along with the rest of the staff, took a special interest in the child. The hospital became more than just a place of care. It became a family. The staff treated the baby with love and attention, almost as if they had become a group of mothers, aunts, and uncles. The decision to find the child an adoptive family was made early on, but this was not an easy task. Many were unwilling to take on the responsibility of raising a child with such a significant disability. But the difficulty in finding a family wasn't the worst part. The real challenge came from the uncertainty of the child's future. Would there be someone patient enough, understanding enough to take on this journey? After some time, an adoptive mother stepped forward. She was a woman known for her patience and deep understanding. She carefully took the time to learn how to care for the child's unique needs, and soon the child was brought to a new home in America. Gabe's confidence grows as he faces new challenges in a different country. Wheels of freedom and rebellion. The move to America was a new beginning, but it also brought a new set of challenges. The child found it difficult to connect in a place where no one spoke the same language. In those early days, there was a sense of isolation, as there was no one to speak with in the child's native language, Thai. Even in moments of solitude, there was a constant effort to hold on to that connection, even if it meant standing in front of a mirror and speaking to their own reflection. But this was not the end of the hardship. Adjusting to a new country, a new family, and an entirely different life required a great deal of resilience. She was the guiding force behind his confidence, encouraging him to take on challenges by himself and build the strong, independent identity he now carried. As he mastered English, his social circle began to grow. By the time he was 9 years old, skateboarding became a new passion for him. The sense of freedom that came with it, mixed with a slight rebellious spirit, shaped his early years. His skateboard became a symbol of his adventurous nature, and through it, he found a way to express himself in ways words couldn't capture. In daily life, he stood out because of the way he relied on his hands instead of legs. Born without legs, the reason behind this remained unknown. With no information about his biological parents, there was no medical explanation available. He didn't dwell on it, though. He simply embraced it as part of who he was and described himself in the simplest terms: someone born without legs. There was no need for long explanations, just acceptance of his reality. There were times when humor played a role in how he approached life. He often made lighthearted jokes about being half a person, but there was no doubt that he fully embraced life's challenges. For example, he once dressed as Wonder Woman for Halloween, enjoying the mix of fun and strength that came with the costume. This playful side was balanced with a deep love for life, particularly the opportunities available in America. He appreciated the freedom and possibilities the country provided, giving him space to explore different aspects of who he was. At 17, modeling entered his life almost by chance. It wasn't just a brief experiment, it became something far more important. The world of modeling introduced him to a new passion that would shape his journey in profound ways. That early experience left a lasting impact, showing him sides of himself he hadn't fully recognized before. The spark ignited within him grew over time, leading to bigger and better things. Just a year ago, in 2021, he walked down the runway at New York Fashion Week, a milestone that marked a turning point in his life. But this wasn't the end of his path. It was just the beginning. The doors that opened through modeling led to unexpected opportunities, including a venture into acting. These new chances kept pushing him forward, showing him that there was always more to explore. The journey continued to unfold, filled with exciting possibilities. She appeared on screen as a charred zombie, fully made up for her role in The Walking Dead. In another role, she took on the character of Rosie Valera in Hawaii Five-0, portraying a wounded veteran. Then in the film Cold Black, her character was involved in a tragic accident. The scene showed a car crashing into a market, hitting her character, who sadly lost both her legs and eventually passed away. It was a dramatic part, one of many that showcased her range as an actress. What made her stand out wasn't just her talent, but the fact that she represented a unique perspective, one that isn't often seen on screen. There are few actors who are amputees in mainstream films, and even fewer are Asian. This gave her a distinct point of view, one that was important to bring to the world of acting. Gabe's journey continues as he discovers new passions and opportunities, a tale of resilience and wheels. Her talents, however, extended beyond the world of acting. She was also an experienced skateboarder, a passion that had grown over the years. On this particular day, she planned to spend her time skateboarding with her boyfriend, enjoying a well-earned day off. Her love for extreme sports had always been something that attracted others to her. The energy and excitement that skateboarding offered were undeniable. It was a sport full of movement and energy, a world where every trick and turn brought a rush of adrenaline. The thrill of it captivated those who watched, especially when they saw her, a woman without legs gliding effortlessly on her skateboard. The looks of amazement from onlookers were common, and many found it both impressive and inspiring to see someone who broke through expectations. But things were not always easy. The world of the internet often brought criticism, with people quick to judge others without knowing the full story. Many online comments were harsh, filled with negativity, but there was a simple approach to it all: ignore it. The key was to focus on living well, enjoying life, and letting go of the negative voices. Silence was sometimes the best answer to unkind words. Living happily and focusing on the positive was the best response to those who doubted or criticized. For those living with disabilities, her story offered a message of hope and motivation. She encouraged others to follow their passions, to pursue what made them happy, and to remain active in any way possible. Her life was a testament to the idea that challenges could be turned into opportunities. Being an amputee had not held her back, but had instead shaped her into the person she had become. It opened doors in her acting career, offering her unique roles and experiences that few others could take on. Still, the true challenge was never just the physical or emotional aspects of her condition. The real difficulty lay in making sure people saw beyond the disability, recognizing her talent and ability as an actress and as an individual. Being different was not the hardest part. Instead, it was proving that this difference only made her stronger and more capable of taking on any role that came her way. Do you think the entertainment industry does enough to represent people with disabilities authentically? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video for more discussions.